All right, well, welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's going on?
We're here with our boy Jay at 4 Mile Brewing down in Olean, and we are fired up.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot to discuss.
We've already been here for an hour, and it's been fantastic.
Hey, I'm really glad you guys brought me on the show. I'm honored to be on the show. I think
Absolutely.
It's great.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming down from Buffalo.
Yeah. So you want to tell everybody where we are right now?
We are in Olean, New York. Most of you guys probably have no clue where Olean, New York is. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, but technically we're in the Enchanted Mountains.
Okay.
So if you notice, we've got beautiful landscape. We're right here at where 4 Mile Brewing is located, right on the banks of the Allegheny River. And our name, 4 Mile Brewing, kind of came from the river itself. So.
Oh, okay.
Is it because the river's 4 miles long, or because Olean is taking up 4 miles of the river? Like, what's the correlation?
So pre-Erie Canal, the Allegheny River was used to ship lumber up to Pittsburgh. And the mile markers were placed on the river to reference different points. So right on the corner of where the brewery is located, Olean Creek runs into the Allegheny River, and it became the actual measuring point for all the mile marker roads. Now, to bring it back into our name, 4 Mile Brewing, we started brewing in a basement on the 4 Mile Road. So it's kind of unique that those pieces fell together for us.
That's awesome.
That's all. Yeah. So you started brewing not here.
No.
What is your past like, and what kind of led you to starting your own brewery?
So my personal past is I was big into craft beer before it was really super trendy. And I used to manage a bar called Breadsticks, and it was a great little spot. Food was fantastic, and one of the big draws was there was 22 taps. So we were the first place in town to actually have craft beer, and there was 16 craft beer lines in there. And you're talking, as I date myself, like 15, 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
awesome. And that was in town?
That was in town, yeah. It was. I loved the owners, loved the spot. It was the hot spot in Olean.
Right. So how many bars are actually in Olean? Do you know, like, ballpark?
Boy, I don't know the actual number.
Yeah,
but
ballpark.
There's, if you count restaurants and bars together, or just bars by themselves.
You guys do food here too, right?
Right,
Yeah,
food.
so like restaurants and bars together.
Without me counting, I would probably say there's probably about 18 to 20.
Okay.
It's a good number, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the first spot with 22 taps, then what happened?
So from there, that restaurant ended up closing for different reasons, and I ended up going to another bar, working there. And I just kind of always been in the bar business. Prior to working there, I was in the bar business. But that's where I started hanging out with my partner then, and we started brewing in his basement. So I was into craft beer, drinking it, and then him and I started hanging out and doing like a craft beer review. We'd go out and collect different beers from all over the place, and we'd just go sit on his porch and drink beer. And then, the dream became, man, one day it would be cool to open our own place and have a place right here in Olean where we're actually making the beer. So that all birthed from that idea, and then he was a home brewer already, and then I just started home brewing with him, and then met some other people in the home brewing area.
That's
Nice.
kick-ass. So as everybody can see now, we're inside the brewing area of your entire operation. So it went from drinking beer on the porch and then brewing in the basement to this. So we'll fast forward a little bit. So jumping to May 2015, you guys officially open, right? But it took 2 years because the brewery was originally a brewery back in the day with Olean Brewing Co., which we'll touch on in a minute. But before you guys took over the building that we're in, it was a kitchen and bath center. So what was it like transforming the space to what we see today?
Well, actually, when we had bought the building, it was completely vacant for at least 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So when we came in here, it was all, there was nothing. There was blown in insulation. There was drop ceilings. There was displays on the wall. There was dead mice. All the good stuff.
Sure.
And trying to visualize what the space was going to look like was pretty interesting, because all this beautiful brick that we have in the building was all covered up. It was underneath, because they had kitchen displays and stuff up. So that was unique, and it was other people that have better foresight than myself envision things, and it took me a little bit of time to get there.
Sure. I like that. So basically, coming from taking off all the plaster on the walls and then digging into the roots, what history pieces did you start to uncover from the original brewery?
Well, we didn't really find a lot of history inside the building itself.
Okay.
We ended up finding from the community, because once people kind of got an idea of what we were putting together here, we had some people that kind of came out in the community. We had a local gentleman donate a brewing tray that was an original brewing tray from Olean Brewing Company. My other business partner, Nick, he's scoured the internet and found all kinds of stuff. We've got, he found an invoice from 1913 where somebody bought 24 pints for $1.
Wow.
It's got a receipt, and he's got a bottle opener, and it's now a frame piece on our wall. We've got bottles. We have a whole bunch of other paraphernalia. Now, brewing glasses as well. And then outside of Olean Brewing itself, like Olean had a rich history in brewing besides just Olean Brewing. There was another brewery that was here called Dodderwick Brewing Company. So they were actually the first brewery in the city itself. And that brewery, we were able to get more information on because they were around for a longer period of time. It changed hands a couple times. It actually sold and eventually became Empire Brewing. So we have a ton of stuff from them. We've got pre-prohibition beer boxes, trays, got some cool glassware from them.
Got it.
Do you have any of that on display inside?
We have a lot of that on display inside. In fact, a cool little backstory on that is when that brewery was on Henley Street. When they tore that brewery down, my other business partner, which is our head brewer and the mastermind behind all the beer, Craig Clark, his family reclaimed some of those bricks and built their house with it.
What?
So maybe, it's just fate that Craig was meant to be a brewer.
That's sweet.
Yeah, seriously.
It is awesome.
That's a wild idea. So speaking of that, so it's who makes up like the pillars of the operation? So you yourself are VP of sales, correct?
Yep, I'm out there in the market. I do all of our outside sales. I wear a lot of hats, I guess you could say. I was here kegging yesterday, and sometimes I'm cleaning kegs, loading orders, do the planning for production, and then collaborate with Craig on recipes.
Okay. So then Craig's the master brewer.
Craig's the master brewer. I just come up with some ideas that hey, wouldn't this be a cool idea? And then he actually comes up with the recipe. I don't actually come up with the recipe.
Got it.
Well, Craig is a fantastic brewer. He pays attention to detail. One of the things that makes him so fantastic is he is able to do the same thing time in and time out the same way and adhere the same kind of attention to the smallest detail. And it's amazing quality that he has. And I wish I had more of it in me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we all do, honestly. And then who's the other partner?
So my other partner, Nick, he is a CPA by trade. So he's, we keep him in the basement locked away from people because, nobody wants to see him. No, I'm just kidding.
That's like me. That's like me.
Yeah,
No, he's great. He's actually really good with people. But
don't worry, it's not weird.
well, he's great with numbers and great with planning. He's got. We all have separate traits that kind of together make us a great partnership. And his ability to go after grants and different things that we were able to get along the way and continually get it's amazing achievement, the things that he can do. And then obviously his business for planning, numbers and everything else that we got to do that I don't, hey, I just want to make more beer and sell it.
Right, right.
When you first started this, was the objective to brew beer to sell in-house? Like, did you ever have the aspirations of outsourcing, which we can talk about that you currently are doing now, but was that like the first idea that you wanted, or did you want to keep it here?
No, from the very beginning of opening this brewery, we wanted to sell our product to bars and restaurants and, eventually package the products and get it across the state and in our area. We wanted to become a production brewery. That was kind of our objective from the start.
Nice.
Now, speaking on that, Wegmans, Tops, NOCO are either already currently stocking your beer on their shelves and selling it or are going to. Does consumers in Erie County sell your beer?
Oh yeah, consumers has been very supportive of us from day one. In fact, I usually meet with John List and our distributor like at least once or twice a year. I can't say enough good things about them. They've been fantastic in the whole process, and they tend to support all the local brands, and they really care about the industry.
Okay. Because there's a lot of people that listen to our podcast, obviously from Buffalo, but I'm just trying to piece it all together because more questions than not that we get is, that was a great interview, now where do we get it?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm trying to key in on answering those questions during the interview so everybody can immediately leave the interview, go buy it, and then finish the interview while enjoying your product.
Yeah, absolutely. Consumer beverage. You've got Wegmans. You've got 7-Elevens and Nocos. We also have Dashes, which is fantastic. We're in
nice.
there.
Okay.
Another good quality local company.
Yeah.
Then there's a lot of independents that have us as well. So yeah, we're in quite a bit of the locations.
Are you in any bars on tap?
Oh yeah, we're
Out
in
of Buffalo?
we're in a lot of bars in the Buffalo
Nice.
area.
Well, do you know any offhand, just so people
Oh,
can
absolutely.
go grab it?
The Irishman in Williamsville, they've been hugely supportive. Maria, that I deal with over there, she's fantastic, a great person. And we've had Allegheny IPA on tap there for, if I could backtrack. So when we first started distributing in Buffalo, I said, hey, we're going to start, we want to start branching out and kind of leaving the brewery. And this is, if we go back in time here, this would be probably 2017 we started distributing in Buffalo. So my other partners were a little gun shy about getting out there. I don't know if we can make enough beer because Craig was still working his other job. He was a full-time maintenance person at St. Bonaventure, and then the other partner was the tax assessor in Olean. So they both had full-time jobs, and they were basically only brewing on the weekends.
Wow.
So our production was pretty limited to that time. Well, I was trying to push the envelope and press things out there a little bit. So there was a lot of frustration in the beginning about distributing in the market. But anyways, long story short, is we started distributing out there.
Yeah, you win.
So we he said, hey, this is what we can do. This is the amount. They give me kind of a guideline, a number of where they think what we can do. Mm-hmm. So I remember, I'll never forget this day, the day that I went the first day I went out there, and I had no clue what I'm doing. I was confident, but also I never done outside sales of any type. Never went and knocked on doors like cold calling in that manner. So I just kind of wrote down a few places that I thought would make sense to go to in the Buffalo area. And I ended up going to the Blue Monk, and I met Mike Schatzel.
Nice.
Was one of the first people I met, and it was coming up on Buffalo Beer Week, but the first year one of the first years they had it. So I met Mike Schatzel at the Blue Monk, just happened to go in and ask if he's around, and he was great. He took a lot of time. He took time out of his schedule, hung out with me, sampled him on some beer, and he said, hey, I'll bring it in. We'll do a feature night at Cole's for you during Buffalo Beer Week. So we set up a tap takeover.
Nice.
And then the other spot was I was friends with a lot of people know him in the industry, Duffy, Matt Capola.
No.
Well, he used to work at Griffin on Transit.
Oh, okay.
So I had met him in the past, and we he's like, hey, when it's time, we'll get you going in Buffalo. And so I set up another tap takeover at Griffin Brew Pub, which our company's entrance into the Buffalo beer market is at Griffin Brew Pub and Cole's. So I mean,
What else can you want?
Right.
Exactly.
Good for you. I mean, that's extremely aggressive. First of all, starting in 2015 and getting everything starting to distribute in 2017. Did you have this whole setup here back when you first started? All these amounts of
Not
everything?
really.
Yeah.
We had 3 15-barrel fermenting tanks and 1 15-barrel bright tank when we started.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, that's correct. And then after being open for a little bit, we were able to add on. So if you notice now we have 315 still. We have a 15-barrel bright tank, and then we added 2 additional 30-barrel bright tanks, and then we have 4 30s.
Jeez.
Very nice. Okay.
Good for you. That's impressive going that quick. That's really awesome.
Now we need more tanks.
Yeah, really.
Which, yeah. So speaking of the height of Olean Brewing Co. was doing 30,000 barrels annually. So For you guys now, the question that I have is essentially what's your max production for barrels that you could do currently?
With our current setup, we're probably pushing this thing to the limit where Craig's pulling what Harry has left out. You're looking at about 4,000, probably close to 4,000 barrels.
Okay.
Right around that number.
That's a solid number.
We were on pace this year pre-COVID to be right around probably 32 to 3,500.
Okay.
So we were getting pretty close to coming to the point where we needed to add some more tanks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what type of beers do you like? What is your staple beer that if somebody was to try your beer for the first time, this is something that they should totally go for because this is your best seller?
Well, our number one selling beer from the day we opened the door, well, not from the day we opened the door, but pretty close to the day we opened the doors, is our Allegheny IPA, which pays homage to our region.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
This is not Allegheny IPA,
This is a lager.
This is a new one that we have.
Exactly.
So Allegheny IPA, what made you come up with that? And obviously your head brewer created the recipe for that.
Yeah, so this Allegheny IPA, we wanted a beer that people, like if we took it outside of Western New York and then went into Pennsylvania also, that people could recognize the name and kind of associate it with an area, but not pigeonhole it to be too small that it would, kind of lose a little on it. So we went with Allegheny IPA because we're on the banks of the river, and there's also the Allegheny National Forest. I think Allegheny, the name is recognizable whether you're in Buffalo, Rochester, or Pittsburgh.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's a recognizable name, and I thought it was we all thought it was a great staple point for the name.
It's interesting because Allegheny itself is obviously huge, but when you hear the name Allegheny, if you're in this area, you think it's local. Like, oh, this is a local beer, even though Allegheny's huge. And it's not local to your specific spot, but you get that and you see that, like, if you're from California or something and you grew up in Buffalo and you pick up something that says Allegheny, you're like, that's local to where I live. It's like,
absolutely.
Not really, but kind of. So
yeah, that's what we were gunning for.
Yeah.
If you're in Pittsburgh, you're going, wow, that's local. I
right?
got your app, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, it's local for like 3 states.
Right. For a huge area.
Yeah. So it was good marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the best broad stroke possible. It's like we're hitting local, but we're not. Everything's fine.
I mean, it depends on what you define as local, right? I mean, we're still only 2 hours and 45 minutes from Pittsburgh. We're only 65 miles from Buffalo. We're maybe 85 miles from Rochester, depending on where you're at. I like to, lower it less.
That's what I'm talking about. Drop a gear, disappear.
But what's cool about the beer is the liquid itself. I think even better than the name. So my other partner, Craig, this was his baby. Allegheny IPA was. So when I met Craig, we had already been talking about opening the brewery, and he was a home brewer that I became friends with, and I met him actually at Breadsticks at the craft beer bar. And we, from having serving him drinks and talking, we ended up becoming friends, having some beers. He invited me over, showed me how he home brews. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is awesome. We got to get this guy on board at 4 Mile. How can we figure a way to get him on board? So he had been brewing IPAs for 25 years in his basement, way before trendy hipsters with man buns and tight pants were. So
Preach.
Say it louder.
The good news is, so you're talking 25 years, and he had like a core recipe that he was constantly trying to perfect for his palate, which I also happen to really love. So Allegheny IPA is the culmination of 25 years of Craig working his basement to create what he wanted in an IPA. Something that's super balanced, hop forward, aromatic, and has some bitterness to it. And yes, I said bitterness. For anybody that doesn't know, IPAs need bitterness.
I feel like Craig was probably trying to figure out why he didn't meet you sooner, because you basically show up and said, hey man, I want you to do what you're doing, but I'm going to give you like commercial professional equipment to do it on. What are your thoughts? I feel like how do you say no to that? You know what I mean?
Having Craig is like the biggest asset. I mean, without Craig, there really is no 4 Mile. I think that's the beauty of the whole thing. It's like every piece is we're all pieces in a wheel or cog in a wheel to the what is 4 Mile.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So just in the area, before we get to this new beer, because I do want to talk about this lager, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, can you just also describe not only the building that you're in, but what you have around us? Because this is basically a compound here. You have these different buildings and areas.
We're not. This isn't a David Crush compound. Just to point that out. Sorry.
True.
So you have an outdoor patio like area there. Do you host events or anything? Because this is a huge
absolutely.
area.
We've got some clay bocce courts outside. We've got, obviously, you've seen the big pavilion. Our whole parking lot is licensed for consumption, and we do it normally. Every year we have a annual beer fest that we do the third weekend in July.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this year, due to our current situation, we cannot have the beer festival. Now, I'm looking forward to having it again next year because we've kind of made a name for ourselves for a beer festival. It's unique, I think, to other beer festivals in a lot of ways. It's small and intimate, but we really focused on making it a festival for breweries, like for us to hang out.
Sure. So
and consume some beers.
So do people bring do other breweries bring tents? Like, what is it?
Yeah, so we usually we'll bring in like 20. We have room for 25 vendors. Okay. We'll set up in the parking lot, and we'll have our beer event for 3 to 4 hours. We'll have a DJ playing. So outside. I mean, that's typical standard beer festival fare. Well, then after it's over, we throw a giant party for the vendors, and we provide hotel rooms for them, the ones that choose to stay. And we do a huge bottle share, and then we drink, and we have a live band that plays off the dock until 11 o'clock, and we're out here just having a great time.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's not your average beer fest.
No, and then after that's over, we usually I usually organize this strange beer crawl. Or a beer walk where we walk to some of the local establishments, and usually by then people tend to be having a lot of fun.
Feeling good.
So what form do we need to sign for the Buffalo Happy Hour to be considered a vendor?
Well, we'll get you in for sure next year because there's been a lot of fun things that happen, and I wouldn't want to call people out. It's like what happens at the Enchanted Mountain Beer Festival kind of stays at the Enchanted Mountain Beer Festival.
I love it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Cool. So getting back to the beer that we're having now, we have the Western New York Lager. This is the new one.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the process of making this and also this jacked gentleman on the front of it?
Well, I would like to think that this guy is a redheaded version of myself. My biceps are obviously pipes just like that. In fact, we're going to do some kind of commercial at some point with this where I'm going to wear a green flannel shirt and pretend like I'm actually chopping wood.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We may grab a professional bodybuilder from Pittsburgh and bring him up.
We may find out if Seth Rossi will come down here and just do this commercial for us.
We'll tag him in it. I'm sure he'll be down.
I'm sure he will be. So this is, we had been wanting to make a lager for quite a while. Want to do something different because anybody that is familiar with 4 Mile is, we've made a reputation for ourselves as, hey, that's breweries kind of known for making IPAs, and they make West Coast style IPAs. So we haven't kind of branched out into New England's very much. We focus on West Coast style IPAs, and it's just kind of become our identity. So we wanted to do a couple different things, and like I said, I was excited about making a lager. It took me a while to get Craig on board with making a lager, but we got him on board. And, he's so critical of his own work that he's like, man, it doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't taste like anything. I'm like, this is fantastic. It's super clean. It's crisp. It's what you're looking for in a lager, I think, and what I'm looking for in a lager. And I think he did a fantastic job on it.
Yeah, this has some flavors in it that I can't point out, but it's completely different from any other lager, though. It makes you want to keep drinking it because there's this flavor you're trying to pick out, but you just can't do it.
It's got a little bit of a sour to it, but nothing extreme, and it's just extreme. It's light,
super light.
It's light for a lager, and it just kind of, you just don't want to stop. It's dangerous.
Yeah, 4% too. We wanted to go with that low target mark. I believe there is Saaz hops in there, so it gives it a little bit of that citrus character that you're
there you go.
Finding
See,
in there.
He knows what he's talking about. He's in sales.
You sold me. I'll have another. So with the lager, you have. This maple brown ale is staring me right in the face because I love maple. And then you have Kill a Beer. What type of, how many beers do you have available at all times that are available for, consumption? So
we generally normally have at least 12 beers, 12 to Yeah, about 12 beers is the answer. Sometimes we dip down to 8 or 9, but usually we try to keep 12 beers in house. And then, between cans, like this Western New York Lager is actually a canned only beer. So is the Maple Brown Ale.
Okay.
The rest of them in this package are both draft and cans. So we like to have a nice little mix of both.
Do you do like special releases? I know that this is some sort of special release.
This is a special release. In fact, it's just really kind of hitting the market. Our local distributor, Sanzo Beverage, they cover 5 counties, our county, Cat County, Allegheny County. They also go up north. They do Orleans, Wyoming, and Genesee. So they cover Batavia and down that direction, Medina. They just picked up their load of Western New York Lager. And I'm working on our distributor in Buffalo, Wright Beverage, which is going to be picking up product on Monday. So they should be picking up the new product and getting it on shelves.
Nice.
So speaking of cans, in 2018, you guys pushed for state funding through a revitalization initiative to build a canning line. In recent news, in the Buffalo news, you guys were awarded a grant. Can you just speak on that to touch on essentially the future because of COVID, but what is going to entail with the grant?
So we were awarded, I believe it was $411,000, and it was we were working on this. We have another building that we're not in, which is our back building, and we use it for. That's where our keg storage is. We're building a barrel aging room. We also rent out a portion of the building to a kayak and a canoe company, Allegheny Adventures, which they'll pick you up and drop you off on different points in the river with a kayak or a canoe.
That's sick.
So this building has been when we got this building, it was vacant for 5 years. That building had been vacant for like probably 20 years. There's no plumbing. There's no light.
Which was part of the original Olean Brewing Company.
Right, which was actually the brewery for Olean Brewing Company.
Okay.
So you're talking, that's where the brewery was. This was the office building, and I believe it was part of their, bottling operation where we're sitting right now.
So it shows how soft we are. They didn't even have bathrooms back then when they were brewing. They just worked 16 straight hours, and they dealt with it.
I guess. Because I'll tell you right now, it's there's no light. There's nothing. The light is from the windows that aren't boarded up that that comes in there. So when we bought the building, that's how we encountered. In fact, there was lots of beds that were stored in there from another place that had went out of business. So who knows what was in those? I don't even want to.
It's probably haunted, a little bit.
No kidding.
So now we're in the process. That part of that money was to we tripled our cooler space with that money, and then we also are using. We had to put a new roof on that building, which was a very expensive endeavor.
Yeah,
and you're talking about it's almost 20,000 square foot building. So when you go to replace and put a flat roof on part of it, it also presented some other interesting problems. Like the architect came in here and said, well, we're going to have to do some shoring up of the building, so we had to run a bunch of steel trusses, and just for the load of snow on a flat roof spanning that kind of space.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting.
And then we've got a lot of repointing that needs to be done on that building. So it's a slow process of resurrecting that building, and then we've got a vision of what we want to do in that building that for our next step or next evolution in the process.
Which would essentially just be like a assembly canning line?
No.
Is that like the big picture, like 100-meter target, or is that like
no, the big picture would be that we would keep this 15-barrel brew house in here, and it'd be more like a pilot system.
Okay.
We would move all of our fermenting tanks into that building and then pipe and do all the packaging over there, but also have the ability to put in like a 60 to 100-barrel brew house if we ever grew that big, or 30 or 40, you know what I mean? An ability to grow in size.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you need it right now with everything going on. And with how much you're distributing to other places, you need to grow in size a little bit. You're probably
we're not quite ready for using that building. I mean, we've got space here we can use. I mean, we've gone back and forth on a few different ideas as far as how we want to go about it. But you're talking on this wall to my left, we're talking about possibly putting some more additional fermenting tanks over there and bright tanks and doing a couple things in that direction.
Yeah. Wow. So speaking of that building, you have something Brewing over there, right? With
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. Nailed it. With some beer in some barrels, right? Do you want to talk about that, or is that not public yet?
Well, no, that's cool. We could talk about it, but unfortunately, nobody can drink it yet. But,
the bad part, yeah.
So, like 2 years ago, we made a barrel-aged beer, and we only did one barrel as our first kind of venture into that. And then Craig's done a lot of research on that. Well, we decided to go a little bit bigger. So we've got right now we've got 10 Woodford Reserve barrels that are filled with Russian Imperial Stout that'll be aging 6 to 9 months over there, and then they'll be getting doused with blackberries. So I think it'll be a kind of a cool take on a bourbon stout. With adding those blackberries, I think is going to add a different element to it.
Absolutely.
So where is that going to be sold?
So that actually, we'll be putting that in 4-pack 12-ounce cans, and we'll be selling it in the market. Now, it'll be obviously pretty limited because we're going to probably keep a stash here.
No doubt.
I would absolutely.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Look at me. I need some.
Yeah, I think we do too. So when you brew a beer, how long can you keep it for before it gets bad? Do you know?
Well, it depends on the style and the beer itself. Since we make a lot of West Coast style IPAs, a lot of what we found is the life expectancy on those is much longer than like a New England, for instance. You're talking, we can go about 100 and we can push them to 150 days at max.
Okay.
But usually we keep our IPAs, our timelines at 120 days.
Okay.
But there's been a few occasions where I just want to see how far they would be able to go, and you're talking 150 days on some of those. Now, Some of the lighter beers, we have 150-day timelines on them.
Okay. So what is the 151st day? Is it like a noticeable difference where you're like, this isn't even like sellable, or like how fast is it a climb?
It drop like after the 150th day. There's a drop off. And I think it becomes a little more of a steady drop off where it becomes to the point where, hey, the beer still tastes good, but I don't want to just throw a beer out there to sell that just tastes good. I want it's got to live up to the quality standards that we have in our establishment. So if maybe the average person wouldn't even notice the drop off, but if we notice it, that means somebody else can notice it.
Right. Sure.
And I don't want to sell something. First of all, when I go buy craft beer at the store and I'm buying somebody else's, I don't want a product that doesn't taste like the way they want it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want me to drink it either that way.
Okay, good point. So it's not necessarily spoiled; it's just a quality standard.
The quality starts dipping off.
Yeah.
You might lose some flavor profiles, and then if it's an IPA, then they start getting that stale hop kind of flavor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which everyone hates because they all taste the same.
So we talked about the canning process and the initial thoughts behind it, but what do you do for canning right now? These are stick-on labels, right?
Oh, we have some printed can labels, like our Allegheny IPA and our Pale Ale, which is our year-round cans. Those are printed labels. And then the other stuff that we're kind of, we're doing a seasonal line, and that's in the 12-ounce. This is this kilo beer. That's a seasonal. So we're doing the stickers because we can't, right now we can't justify buying. You got to buy, so many cans. Mm-hmm. And we can't justify based on, where we're at with it to buy more. So we're using the labels for any of those beers that may be limited volume.
Sure. So when we first started too, you said that you write down some stuff on the labels, and for me, the label is what draws me to a beer to buy. You have, especially on this kilo beer, it looks like a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the process behind that? Because that sounds awesome.
So the kilo beer is a collaboration that we did with K-Bar Knives, which is. I'm sure. Are you familiar with K-Bar Knives? So
yes.
Oh yeah.
I love K-Bar Knives. Now they're owned by another company called Cutco, which makes badass kitchen knives.
Oh.
So
yes.
Are you familiar with them?
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't.
Here's how familiar I am.
Oh my
with
God!
Them. I've
Wow.
got
Okay.
I wish I could give you a story of this cool knife fight, but no, it was me cutting myself.
No,
in hand.
it's the same story from K-Bar where a gentleman killed a bear with his knife, and it was a kill a bear story, so they came up with K-Bar. It's the same thing that would happen to you.
Exactly. I went to wrestle a cat.
Wow.
And this is what happened.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So how many stitches was that?
That was like, I think it was 20-something stitches.
Solid.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh my gosh! How did you even do that?
So
What were you cutting?
in my, I had a brain fart moment, and it was not my brightest moment in life. I'm trying to unpackage a Christmas toy for my nephew, and they make these toys so you got to have a college degree to open them up. There's so much packaging on them. So I grabbed one of the serrated steak knives that I have and just stupidly tried to cut it open instead of using a pair of scissors, and it slipped off the thing, and my hand was out here and it sliced right across.
Jeez. I remember back when I used to work at a grocery store, and they give you box cutters, those safety box cutters that still don't do anything. And I had a box on my leg so I could cut the tape open, and it was a brand new blade. I cut it open, and I just missed the important parts and sliced my jeans open right across my leg.
You missed that artery.
Yeah, I didn't get my actual leg or anything else, but it was scary. Sometimes you're just not thinking.
Right.
And it just gets you so quick.
If you got the femoral, you would have been gone in 6 seconds.
I would have bled out in a grocery store. What a terrible way to go.
Now, you probably haven't made that mistake since,
No,
right? When you're holding
not.
a sharp object, now you're like, maybe I should think about things before I. Because I'm that way now when I cut. I'm like, all right, well, now I got to pay attention a little bit.
Absolutely.
So naturally, to get over your fear, you go to K-Bar.
Yep.
I wish it was that cool. Just because I cut myself didn't make, I didn't lose my love of knives. But yes, I was afraid of knives, so I had to go to K-Bar and get a re-education, and
Solid. So getting back to the beer, you collaborated with K-Bar, and then what's the story behind that?
Okay, so K-Bar is a local company, and we're all about, I believe in a strong local synergy, and with a business like ours, I want it to be a community-based business, and I want the community to be proud of what we've done, and proud to say that 4 Mile Brewing's from Olean. So when people say, "Hey, yeah, it's the home of 4 Mile Brewing," hey, it's the home of Cutco. You know what I mean? I want that kind of feel to our name. Our city's had that kind of feel with Cutco. People will associate Olean with Cutco knives and K-Bar knives, which is great. It's a good positive image of our city. So I would we all want to have that same kind of image with 4 Mile Brewing. So K-Bar actually already does a collaboration with another brewery in North Carolina, and the owners had approached us in the past and said, "Hey, we'd love to do a local collaboration with you guys," and it took us a little time to be able to get to that point, and we started this process a little over a year ago.
Okay.
And they kind of gave us an idea of what style of beer they were looking for, and we came up with a recipe, and then they came up with the actual artwork. They had one of their in-house art designers came up with this, and then we had to talk our way through TTB because they didn't understand why we wanted to put Killa beer on the label, so we had to re-explain it because they rejected it originally. So that was an interesting little piece, but
it's fine.
So
Everything's fine.
because they don't want to promote binge drinking, right? So
Sure.
they thought Killa beer was all about
Slamming beers.
Yeah, but instead it was about K-Bar knives and killing a bear to save your own life. So.
Right. It's a cool story on the side of the can. A hunter, an Alaskan hunter, shot a bear, and the wounded bear attacked him, and he ended up killing the bear with a knife. And as a sign of appreciation for the knife saving his life, he sent the bear rug. He made a rug out, sent it to them along with an appreciation letter, and he called it K-A-Bar. So it was only in cutlery at that time, and they thought it was cool enough that they adopted that as their name, and it became K-Bar.
It's funny because as you were saying that, I'm staring at this thing, and you basically said it word for word. I'm very impressed with that. That was a very good recollection on your end. So it's an ale, right? It's a pale ale?
So it's actually, we should probably have that next after this lager. So it's a super light, easy drinking ale, and it's actually technically a cream ale, but some people get they don't understand what cream ales are.
Yeah, because they only think of Jenny Cream Ale, baby.
Right, but Jenny Cream Ale is a great reference to the style of beer. I think people it's so strange. I'll have people, Genesee Cream Ale. I go, Genesee Cream Ale. What's wrong with it? It's great beer. It actually represents the style, right?
Yeah, right.
It's if you go to the GABF, it wins awards for its style. So it's a good representation of the style. But a lot of people don't even understand what a cream ale is. They have no reference point to it. They just think they seen their grandfather drinking it, and because they're cool hipsters, they don't want to drink it. But now it's cool to drink it.
The cool hipsters. I love that.
I think a lot of it too was the headache that you would get after pounding Jenny cream ales all afternoon. But that's at least what my family always said.
It wasn't anything to do with the Black House or the Rumpelmint's bottle that you killed in the process of that either. It had nothing to do with that.
Probably not. Probably not. Please sense the sarcasm.
So as you continue talking about this K-Bar, have you done any other collaborations with other companies?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would point it out the Maple Brown Ale,
Yeah.
Sprague's Maple Farms, which is just a couple town over in Portville.
Oh, okay.
They make fantastic maple syrup, and they have this huge breakfast place. People come from all over to go eat and check their facility out.
Is that what's up with the pancakes on your Instagram?
Yes.
Yes, dude. I saw pancakes.
He was
I got
talking
so
about
excited.
it the whole ride down.
I was like, they got beer for pancakes. I'm like, we're gonna get there at like 11 o'clock. You think we could do brunch? And then he's like trying not to leave the road, just calling me an idiot. He's like, can we just get there, please?
That's sweet. So you use their maple syrup.
We use their maple syrup in that beer. It's a nice brown ale, and the maple syrup bumps up the alcohol content on it. So it'd be 5. Let's say if it'd be about 5-6%, and then bam, you throw that syrup in there, and we jump her up to about 7.5.
Nice.
So it's got a great flavor though. You get a lot of those chocolate, a little bit of smoke. The way that Craig uses his syrup in there, it doesn't leave like a overwhelming amount of sweetness.
Sure.
So you get that nice maple aroma, you get the maple flavor, but it just doesn't linger, so it makes you want to have another drink.
Absolutely.
Why does the maple increase the alcohol percentage?
So it's the sugar content. So that yeast is going to go in there and continue to eat through that sugar and convert it into alcohol.
Chemistry.
Science.
Obviously, that's why I didn't understand
Science.
it, because my IQ is like 4, but it's fine.
And when you put it in a can like that, you want to make sure you ferment the sugars out, because what happens if you don't?
Oh, it'll keep growing, right?
Yeah.
So it'll basically be a bomb.
It'll be a bomb. Then you can explode the cans.
All right, now I'm getting excited.
I know, that's crazy. I didn't even think of that.
I'm gonna check out this Killa beer. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Kill a beer.
Drink up, man. You're drinking so slow. It's like we're asking you to answer questions and stuff.
Oh, I know, right? At least it's fun.
That's true. That's true.
As he rolls his eyes, this is great, guys.
Well, cheers to a Killa beer.
Cheers, Killa
Cheers
beer
to a killer beer.
and K-Bar.
And Kea Bar.
Yeah, you want to be on an episode of the
Well,
future, let
cheers,
us know.
dude.
Oh, yeah, so I'll put you
Cheers.
in contact with
Yeah.
Joe Bradley is my contact over there, and I think he would love to be on the show.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
He's also a great radio personality and TV personality, so I think you'll get along.
Perfect.
fine. Plus, he'll probably bring you gifts like cool knives.
Dude, that'd be sick.
I can't say no to that.
Yeah, I know, really. Can we get that in writing?
I can't make any promises for them.
Is there sharpening warranty
Yeah.
true? Where
No, so
if
yes.
if you own a K-Bar, then you can ship it to Olean, and then they will sharpen it and then send it back to you for free?
Yes, they have a lifetime warranty on all their products.
Boom.
They stand by them.
Ah.
It's
That's
not one of
one
those
of-
knives that can cut a penny, is it? You know those infomercials that used
They
to happen?
have
at,
those.
Like,
Yeah, they're scissors. They have these awesome scissors.
Yeah, it's
and
a
you
sear.
can cut through it. Yeah, you can cut through it. Now, technically, you're not supposed to cut through a penny, but
Yeah, right.
just for like the legality portion.
Yeah,
It's fine. Everything's
You're
fine.
not legally
to
allowed
stay
to.
legal, don't cut pennies, folks.
But
I
you
don't
can
wanna
cut through a
promote
leather
that.
shoe if you want.
Don't
so.
cancel us because you cut a penny.
Exactly. So K-Bar obviously took off outside of Olean because they basically were. Did they win contracts with the military, or how did that whole situation work?
I'm not sure what their current standing is, but they did. They had the contract. They made the Marine survival knife, which it's a real badass knife that I have. I have one of them at my house.
Nice.
And I love that thing.
Yeah.
Too bad we just can't carry it around, all over the place. But I don't know if that goes well with beer sales. It's a
Right.
bottle opener, guys.
Yeah, it's
promise.
a definite bottle opener.
Just stab in the can.
Shotgun and beers on the road. No, nothing to see here.
That's awesome.
So speaking about getting back to the brewery, you do offer food, right?
Yes.
So this is a multifunctional establishment. You do food. What type of food do you serve?
So our menu keeps evolving over time. We've got it's a simple menu: flatbreads, flatbread pizzas, pretzels. We do probably our most famous dish is the South Olean nachos. So you're talking like a homemade pineapple salsa on there with sour cream, and then you got this apple smoked barbecue sauce that's made by another local business, and then it's topped with pulled pork.
Oh, wow.
It's really good.
That's
and then
dangerous.
beer cheese. So, because you got to get all the cool stuff on there.
So what is
And
beer? Is beer
tri-colored
cheese
chips.
actually made with beer?
Yes, it is made with beer.
Do you make it in house?
Yep. It's
Oh,
made-
okay.
Everything's made in house.
What type of beer do you use for your beer cheese?
That's a secret, Bob.
Oh, okay.
I intentionally called you Bob just to. I know your name's Derek, but I thought it was cool to say that's a secret, Bob.
That was good. I like that.
was good. Yeah. Okay. I mean,
No, it's a light beer.
okay.
So you're looking at our pre-prohibition ale, which is pretty similar to this here.
This is really good too.
This is very good.
Your beers are dangerous, man.
Yeah, they are.
What's
They really
nice
are.
about what the beauty about light beers and like these is, you'll know if a beer is clean or not when you're drinking it.
That's
Right.
true. That's true. So is there, I'm not super up and up on the process for beer, but is there like a filtration process where you basically pull everything out that you don't want in it, or?
Yeah, so our water, when we sent in specs for our water, to kind of backtrack, because I think this will answer your question, is we bought our brew house from Premier Stainless, and one of the reasons why we bought our brew house from them was they sent out an engineer, he helped set up the system, then he also brewed first couple batches with you, and he's a brewmaster, and he's brewed from all over the world. So he also took a look at our water specs, and he goes, dude, it's like, if I'm you guys, I'm not doing anything with my water because it's like I'm in Pilsen, Germany right now. Your water's so fantastic for what you're trying to brew. So
Well, that's good.
We don't really have to do a whole lot with our water. All we're really doing is we've got 3 carbon-activated filters down in the basement, which we're pulling out the fluoride and the chlorine. Fortunately for us, where the water is, when we go outside, I'll show you where the water towers are. We're pretty close to the source, so this is some of the least treated water in the whole city. So we don't, that's perfect for what we need to do. We just got to pull out the chlorine and the fluoride.
Was that coincidental, or did you plan that?
No, that was just coincidental.
That is awesome.
Dumb luck.
Dumb luck.
Well, it probably
Sometimes
makes
that's
sense.
the best luck.
It probably makes sense why they were here in the first place for Olean Brewing, right?
Right, because
be,
of the
yeah.
water, right?
Yeah.
So there was two breweries here. It's all water, and they were from Germany. So what's cool is like when you look at both of those breweries, when they hired brewers, these people, they had a lineage of like your family brewing history, So we probably wouldn't be allowed to brew beer because we didn't have a long, lengthy lineage of brewers.
Sure.
So the brewer that was the brewmaster from Olean Brewing Company had his family had a history of brewing that went back to like the 1600s. Like it's just stupid,
gosh.
crazy.
His name was Konrad Haberstumpf.
Nice.
Not German at all.
I would have guessed that for
Definitely
sure.
not German. But yes, that definitely makes sense.
Haberstumpf.
Konrad Haberstumpf.
Wow. Yeah, that's a history of brewing for sure.
So
in that
like a
family.
cool thing, if you want another little weird history point on it, was that Dodderwick, which was the other brewery here, that like I said, it was on Henley. Now they have like 2 different spellings on their name, and the original spelling was like this EICH, and that part of the family, they ended up selling out to another part of the family that changed the name, and some of that family's still around in the area.
Okay.
And we've tried to contact some of them, but anyways, they eventually sold out to Empire Brewing Company, and it was owned by this guy named Giuseppe Montana. And
That's not German.
That's not German at all. So he owned taxi cab companies in Buffalo, and like that brewery was only around for a short period of time because he got wrangled up and was one of the mafiosos that got at the summit meeting there. He was one of those guys.
I'm into it.
Yeah, that's
It's
your
all
side
my
of the world.
alley. That's my side of the world.
Yeah, that's your side of the world.
Oh, you're Italian?
Yeah.
You couldn't
My
tell?
My side.
He even looks Italian.
Yeah. Well, I
I
don't.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought he looked American because at the end of the day, we're all red-blooded Americans.
We're all
Yeah,
Americans.
that's true. But I mean, the first time
All
we
you got to
met-
do is go to Italy and tell you. Like my buddy that is, his family is Italian. They got everybody's got cool Italian names, and they go to Italy, and he's like, people go, Americans.
Yep.
100%.
My name is Derek. That's not an Italian name.
Yeah, but the way you talk, your phrases. I mean, the first time we met, the first thing you said was, "How you doing?"
What's up, Mike?
Yeah. It's like something like, "How you doing?" So back to 4 Mile. You guys
Please.
were the first brewery to can its beer that's locally produced ever. So can you expand on
I
that?
didn't even think about that actually.
Yeah, it's since we're talking about facts and fun facts,
Yeah.
but can you
That's a
expand on
great
that
fact.
because that's a pretty big that's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm still trying to take it in.
I don't think you knew that.
No, I really didn't even think about that. Actually, think about it. I guess I did, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, where do we want to go with it? I think it's really cool for us, like the cans. The reason why we went with cans is, hey, it was kind of it was literally less carbon footprint. It's also preserves the flavors because of the beer, the integrity of the liquid longer. With us not pasteurizing, you're talking about a light and oxygen-proof receptacle, so it preserves the integrity of our product for a longer period of time. The most important reason why we're using cans right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is a conscious decision to use cans instead of bottles because of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Think about it too. You can also ship more, and it uses less resources too. You're less cardboard, less. We're not using glue. Think about all the things that we're not using.
Yeah, because weight equals money.
Right.
And space equals money when it comes to freight and shipping everything LTL.
Yeah, you can. It's about 30% more.
Yeah, so if you can cut that down, you're going to save a ton to move double the product. It's from a financial standpoint, it's a very easy decision, but most people don't understand that logistical standpoint before they dive into something. They're like, we'll just put into this, and I always liked bottles, so I'm just going to put my product in bottles, not understanding what that actually entails down the road. So kudos to you guys for knowing that.
And what's cool is the evolution. So after I left the other business, I went to a beer store, and right before we opened, I worked for a local beer store and kind of ran his craft beer department over there for a little while. He gave me the reins to run his craft beer department. But I used it as an opportunity to pay attention to what was going on and just the trends in beer. And at that time, it was kind of right when Oscar Blues was coming out with cans, and it was the start of craft beer moving from bottles and going to cans. And I just, when it first happened, people were like, I don't want to drink out of a can. I mean, there was this giant misconception about cans, like canned beer is bad beer. Think about it. Even now, that attitude's it's still pervasive. It's out there, and people think that way still.
Yeah.
However, it's kind of going away because every craft brewery is moving to cans. They see the value in the cans. It's cool that Oscar Blues took the opportunity to lead the way and said, hey, we're going to put it in here. I don't care what you say. We know it's better for the product.
Yeah.
And eventually the consumer will come around and figure it out.
Sure, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. So for Olean, obviously you've collaborated with other local businesses. You have the beer festival essentially in your beer garden. And then what other aspects do you guys do for the local community other than provide great beer and a place to go?
Well, we've always stayed very active in the community. We're very, when it comes to our business, we used almost exclusively all local contractors. Our tap handles are made by a local guy with wood sourced from our region.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
It's a good touch.
Our the top part is a disc. It's a galvanized disc, and that's made at Pierce Steel. In fact, when you go outside, we'll show you the fire pit, also made by Pierce Steel. Our artwork that's on our cans, like this cool guy on the can that we want to say that's me. Yeah. If I was Seth Ferrasi, it'd be me. Anyways.
Seth's got a lot of plugs in this. I like it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to tag him in this.
He's got to get tagged in here. Hey, Seth, if you're listening, drink some 4 Mile. I buy a lot of your products.
Me too.
Anyways, local tattoo artist is doing all of our new artwork on our cans. So we've kind of stepping up our game a little bit.
Nice.
Mike Buckley, he owns the Underground Tattoo Shop in town. And I'll tell you what, he does fantastic work. I'm looking to get him to start working on some of my pieces. So
isn't it crazy that those people just walk amongst us? Hey, I need you to draw something. And they come up with this elaborate mural. And you're like, well, I mean, yeah, that's what I was kind of going towards. But mine would have been chicken scratch. It's this insane artwork.
You just got paintings, right? On your Instagram, you just posted that you just got paintings from a local area, right?
I didn't see those, so maybe.
No? Maybe.
Sometimes I don't know everything that's going on. It's strange how that works because you just informed me of something that I didn't know about.
I think of something like waterfalls or something like that.
Yeah, I believe so.
Right?
I was deep in the research trying to find the history and all the different good talking points, and then we split responsibilities. It's fine. We're just going live.
We're super professional.
So
here.
Speaking of your Instagram, you guys are on Instagram. You're also on TripAdvisor. You're on Facebook.
I think our media guru here, his name's Jared Childs, and he's got us in all kinds of format, stuff that I don't even know anything about, like
Okay.
TikToks and things that I don't know anything about. Snapchats, I'm not in. I've got the standards. I know the standards like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and then he's got all kinds of different ones. I don't know what's going on, but
Gotcha. Okay. So
he plugs us on all of them, though. I know that.
Good.
so what's your handle on Instagram?
My handle on Instagram is
No. The 4 Mile Brewing.
Oh, 4
I
Mile
mean, yours too,
Brewing.
if you want to plug it.
Yeah, yeah, 4 Mile Brewing.
Okay. So 4 Mile Brewing.
You want to follow me? It's the real JB. I mean,
The real JB, perfect.
the real JB.
Followed.
What else?
that nickname came when I worked at a local pizza shop in town, Taste the Pizza.
Okay.
So it was a reference to the Slim Shady song.
I like that. Again, we're not dating you, but that's where we're at.
Not dating me at all.
Yeah. M's doing good though. He's
awesome.
he's doing all right. He's producing. So good
Yeah.
deal. So you guys are on all major social media. You're down in Olean. Your beer is literally almost across the state, in every major county on our side of the state, right? So
Yes, we do 30 counties, 17 in New York, and then 13 in Pennsylvania. So we almost make it to Pittsburgh. Our distribution footprint puts us about Hermitage, which is just outside of, better reference point, it's probably Grove City for people
okay.
in that direction. So we cover Erie and down that way. That's kind of a newer footprint for us, but in New York, our strongholds are, there's probably 10 counties where our beer is the strongest in.
Okay.
Cool.
Good deal. And then for your dine-in experience, what were your hours before COVID, and then what are your hours now?
So we're open Thursday through Sunday to the public. Pre-COVID, it was noon to 11, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday we did this really good brunch from 10 to 2, and then we'd switch over to the regular menu and kind of run till 9. Well, now that we're in the situation we're in now, we're open currently noon to 8. Thursday, or noon to 9. Noon to 9.
Okay.
And then same with Sundays. They're all the same hours.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, good deal.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you letting us come down and talk to you. This is 4 Mile Brewing. Anything else to add?
Hey, hashtag is 4MB. That's
4MB.
our big hashtag. And please go out and enjoy our products responsibly. And thanks for listening to me talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
it.
Cheers,
man.
guys. Thanks for having me.
We're out.
Absolutely.